going to go out on a limb here a little bit on this one. This is going to be the red spinner. Just trying to learn how to tie this one. I've never fished it, but it looked kind of fun. So I do that every now and again. Just, try to find a pattern that looks like it might be kind of an adventure to tie. And this one kind of made the list today. So we've got some red thread here, sheer 14-aught. We'll go ahead and clip that off. It's going to be a red-bodied fly. It's going to have a wing. It's going to have silver tinsel, tail, and a soft hackle. So we're actually, we're kind of going off the deep end here a little bit. So we got that thread attached to the hook. The next thing I'm going to do is grab myself a piece of Coke de Leon that I'm just keeping here by my side, and I'm going to pick out a bunch of the feathers or fibers from this feather here. I don't need too many, but it is a much larger pattern probably than what we've tied before, so that should do me. So I'm just going to sit that on the top of the hook here, and we'll get that kind of cinched down with a wrap or two, which then does give me that opportunity to look at it and decide whether I want that tail to be longer or shorter. In this particular case, I'm perfectly fine with the way that that's laying. So I'm going to take my thread back to where the barb of the hook would be, and you hopefully can see that the barb here is just mashed down a little bit, which I'll always do if I have a barb on my fly. So I'm going to try to keep these Coke de Leon fiber, tail fibers on the top of the hook shank here. So we will be a little bit careful going back just to make sure that, I don't get those strung around the wrong way. And then I'm going to just go ahead and bring this back up to the front. And there will be a slight taper to this fly, so I'm going to go ahead and keep those Coke de Leon fibers in here to just help us build up a little bit of bulk. So that'll do us. We get right there, we'll just grab our scissors and we'll just cut those butt ends off. Like so. The body of this is just plain and simply going to be this red thread and some silver tinsel. So we will tie in our silver tinsel here in just a second. But from there, we're going to just kind of work on getting a little better taper to the body. And we've got a much longer body this time around. So here we go. Here's my tinsel. I've got it ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and secure that to the top of the hook here. I'm going to point it down there on an angle and just catch it with my thread coming around here, just like so. And I'll draw it back a little bit, right about to where my thread is starting over here. And then I'm just going to, it doesn't matter which side we go here, we're just going to, all we're doing at this point is securing this to the hook and to where we want the abdomen of this this fly to start. So I will turn, like I always do, my vise to the side a little bit from time to time just to make sure I've got things where I want them. And I'm just right at the bend there. I don't want to bend those tail fibers down too much, and if you go too far over the back end of the hook, then that's exactly what's going to happen, is you'll end up with those tail fibers just kind of curling down the bend of the hook instead of sticking straight out. So now we're just going to, we're going to take some turns. We're securing this stuff down, but we're going to kind of go back and forth here to, first of all, we're going to cover up that tinsel that's showing a little bit through there. But we're also going to be at the same time trying to build in a small bit of taper to this. Again, not a ton of taper is needed here. And I will take a look like that, which is very helpful, where I turn my vise kind of sideways, because the side that was just now facing the camera lens had a ton of that tinsel showing through. which I wouldn't have known unless I had spun this hook around a little bit in this vise. So that's going to do me just fine. I'm going to throw in a whip finish so that I can use my bobbin cradle here to just dangle my thread without it getting in the way. So we just threw a knot in there. I'm just going to lift up my bobbin cradle, pull back some of the thread to allow that to just kind of hang over the edge here. So from here, now we're going to start wrapping the material up the body of this fly with some pretty evenly spaced wraps here. We want some of the red showing through the tinsel here, so we'll take our time just to make sure that we get it kind of where we want it. See it jump like that, which means I've got to continually be ensuring I've got some good pressure on this. And this tinsel is metal, so it will break, but it's not as easy to break as some materials are. So we're just bringing this right up to where we're going to tie on our wing and our soft hackle. And I'll go a little bit deeper than I need to, just because I don't want this to slide off and lose what I've got so far. So we're just going to take that thread and take it over the top of that tinsel a few times, pulling it tight. Then I'm going to kind of pull the tinsel back like this and try to tie a few wraps over the top of it, just to make sure we've got it nice and secure in place. So now we've got this, tails are looking okay. We've got this kind of cool red and silver body. I'm going to go ahead and clip off my tinsel at this point, just like that. So for the wing, what we're going to do is we're going to use duck quill, and typically when you buy duck quills, you're going to get them kind of like this. I know I'm too macro to probably see them, but they're a matching pair, basically meaning there's one from each side of the feather, and that will help those wings kind of spread away. See if we can keep it separated. So once I got that kind of separated like that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors and fit them right into that notch here. Let them just kind of sink down, and then I'm going to make my cut. And from there I can just pull that chunk of feathers out. You can hopefully see that we have that gap in there now. And then again on this side I'm going to come in with my scissors and I'm going to make a cut, and that's going to allow me to pull those feathers right off. Okay, so what we're left with are a matching pair that look like this, and then I've got the other one right here, and we're going to sandwich them together. So I will be back in a moment after I've done that. So once you have your two feathers, you can see now why that matching pair is important. You can see that they're both curved out away from one another, and kind of curling up towards the tip. Now I'm going to want to tie these in just to the back, about the back end of the hook. So I'm taking my measurement here with my fingers to see where I need to tie this in, and it's going to be right about there. So I'm going to switch my hands just like that. I'm going to go ahead and set this material all on the top of the fly while I pinch onto the hook. I'm going to take a loose wrap, and then I'm going to pull it down pretty firm. I'll do another one and I'll pull it down pretty firm. And what that's going to do, it's going to lock these two feathers into place, and that's exactly what I want them to do. So that's going to be kind of the wing on this. We'll take a couple more wraps here, and then we're going to need to go in and do a little bit of house cleaning. So I'm just going to sneak in here a little bit with my scissors and cut some of this excess off. Again, this is where the rotating vise comes in so handy, because I can just twist it around and see exactly what I'm, trying to cut off. Also makes my thread dangle down because of that thing called gravity, which is nice because it'll keep it from getting cut off. I don't want my thread detached at this point. So got those wings setting in. I'm okay with that. I've got a little bit of garbage right there that I want to get rid of. And I'm going to clean this up now a little bit because we're about ready to move to the kind of the last portion of this, where we're going to tie in a soft hackle, an Indian hen hackle, to actually make a wet fly collar on this. So I've kind of got everything where I want it. I've got the split that I want on those feathers on top. I've got one little straggler that, me being OCD, I'm going to go after it. I am. Just like so. Let's put our scissors back. So that's what we've got going on so far. So we've got that, the two quills from the goose feather, making our wing there. They're tied down and kind of cleaned off a little bit. We've got our tail and our wonderful little body going on there. When I'm tying on this, when we're tying on this hackle, that's going to be more of a wet fly style of hackle. I'm going to want a pretty smooth surface for it to be running up and down. So I'm actually going to take a few, I'll take a minute or so here just to kind of not just clean this up, but provide a clean surface. Brown, we're going to just go with brown today. I've got a brown Indian hen hackle that looks like this. And these are soft. These are soft hackles. Meaning they're not going to be really stiff. They're going to actually be kind of fluffy, folding back. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm actually going to grab a different set of, there we go, hackle pliers here, and I'm just going to grab the very tip of this feather just like that. So I've got it in my hackle plier like that. And what I want to do is I want to gently stroke back. Sometimes if you wet your fingers it will help too, but we're going to just gently try to stroke some of those fibers back. Our hackle pliers holding that center section in place for us. So now that we've kind of pulled those fibers back a little bit while holding onto the tip, I'm just going to come in and clip most of that tip off with my scissors, just like that. And that's going to allow me to, that's where I'm going to tie this hackle in. We're going to just attach that and secure it down on the top of our fly here. So that little patch that we carved out there, that's going to serve the purpose of making sure that our feather doesn't pull out as we're tying this fly, catching some extras in there that I didn't want to catch, but that's okay. I'm going to kind of take this down to the eye, so we have at least a few thread wraps here around the eye, and then I'm going to bring this back up a little bit like that, and I'm going to come through with my trusty scissors and do a little bit of house cleaning here as well for a couple of those fibers that decided they wanted to get away, and they did a pretty good job of it actually. So now we've got a little bit better of a clean working spot here. So now that we have that in place, I'll just go ahead and grab some hackle pliers, and I'm going to grab the back end of this hackle fiber. I'm going to kind of stand it up a little bit. I'm going to wet my fingers a little bit so I can draw some of those feathers backwards, so that they lay back against that wing. And I'll just continue to kind of pull them backwards as I slowly work my way up to the ending point here. And what you'll see is it's going to start building a really nice wet fly collar here, which is what we're looking for. So again, I'm just going to continue to kind of pull that back as I go further up the hook. And it's looking pretty messy. So hopefully I can rescue this. We will find out momentarily. Probably one wrap too many. Let's go ahead and tie that off right there. So I've got my hackle straight up. I'm going to put a couple of turns of thread on top of it to lock it to the shank of the hook, and then I'm going to take a couple wraps in front of it as well. From there, I'm just going to pinch my hackle pliers and let that fall off. And then I can come in, and I'm going to come in and take a look at exactly where this is tied in. Just about there. You can see I'm going to come in and do a little bit more house cleaning. I do a lot of house cleaning, don't I? I should tell you something. So now I'm going to actually pull those fibers back, and I'm going to just, put a few wraps over the top of them, and that's going to try to help keep those in sort of a backwards trajectory, which is what we're looking for on this fly. And I've got a straggler that just wants to fight me all the way to the end, and it's probably going to. Yeah, so now that I've got that kind of cleaned up, I'm really good with having this kind of a larger red head going on here. So we're going to go ahead and build it just a tiny little bit, but then I'm just going to reach over now and grab my hackle pliers. We'll do some rearranging to hopefully make this thing look a little bit better. So here's our whip finisher, and we're going to just throw 4 or 5 whip finishes in here, trying not to capture any of those fibers. Just like so. Pull that down nice and tight so that's not going to come off of there. We'll grab the scissors to cut our thread, remove our thread, just like so. Okay, so there we have it. Again, I think this is like the second time I've ever tried to tie this pattern, but I just wanted to today. I've never fished it. It's just kind of fun to try to tie. You can see we've got that silver and red body going on, our Coq de Leon tail coming out, the placement of our mallard wing feathers that were paired up so that they do splay apart from one another, and then we'll use that nice brown Indian hackle to make a soft hackle wrap around the front so it sort of kind of brushes backwards. And that's the red spinner.